we go again?
Oh, no, not again.
You've seen it before, haven't you?
Dom, how long have we been doing this?
Once more unto the bridge, dear friends.
Again and again and again until we're both dead.
Hello and welcome to You've Seen It Before, movie reviews, connections in mind. Dumbo, the live-action remake of the 1941 film, is this time directed by Tim Burton and stars the talents of Colin Firth, Michael Keaton, Ava Green, and Danny DeVito, and once again tells the story of a baby elephant born into the life of the circus with abnormally large ears, thought to be a freak by everyone who sees him, but as he discovers, he has the ability to fly, and that brings up a whole host of boons and problems for young little Dumbo, and for both him and the human caretakers in his care. Now, this is going to be a fairly abbreviated review, so I'll just dive right into it. So if you have not seen the Dumbo, either the live-action remake that I'm reviewing, or the original 1941 animated film, or any of the films listed below, you want to stop the video at this point and come back later. But with these things in mind, though, let's just get right into reviewing this live-action Dumbo. Honestly, this is just an abbreviated review because there really isn't that much to say about this movie. It is a lovely movie to look at from a stylistic standpoint. They did a really good job with the sets. They're very creative, and even the design of the new Dumbo himself is not horrible. I like the way that they incorporate the textures of a real elephant into it, and he's not just a gray blob as the original Dumbo was. However, that's really all the good things that I can say about this film. The human characters, there's not really much to them. I thought that there was a attempt at an interesting backstory with Colin Firth's character, the fact that he was a husband and father to those in the circus before he was called up to join the army in World War I. And upon coming back, not only did he lose an arm over there in France, but it turns out his wife died from the Spanish flu, and now his kids are somewhat emotionally distant, especially his daughter. And he's trying to reconnect with them while also recovering his former circus glory as a trick rider. That was an interesting story that they kind of set up, but then they kind of abandoned as well. They don't really go very far with that, and especially the kids, they don't really get much to do. And the young daughter, I know she's trying to, I know it's not really good to rag on child actors that much, and I know she's trying to convey the fact that her character is emotionally distant because of all the things her characters had to go through with the loss of her mother, but it just comes off as kind of wooden, honestly, and that doesn't really bode well for this movie as a whole. And all the rest of the characters, I mean, Danny DeVito, he's kind of fun to be around, at least in part of it, but then he kind of goes away for large chunks of it near the middle and end. And the characters, Ava Green and Michael Keaton's characters, I mean, Michael Keaton's kind of playing the menacing human antagonist of the movie, but he doesn't really come off that as much. If anything, I would almost compare this to The Lost World Jurassic Park, in which a company who is on the verge of financial ruin tries to get a star animal to resurrect a dying theme park, namely I believe it's called Dreamland in Dumbo with Michael Keaton. He's banking into the entire future of his park on Dumbo, and in Lost World, it's the resurrection of Jurassic Park on the mainland with a mother and child T-Rex. And of course, with the mother and child T-Rex, we also have the mother and child elephants in Dumbo, with Dumbo and Mrs. Jumbo, his mother, in this as well. And in both of these, it comes to the point where the human characters have to end up killing or at least trying to kill the mother and wanting to save the baby. So there's an interesting comparison to be made. Other than that, the ending of this film, after Michael Keaton's park is in ruins and Danny DeVito's circus troupe goes back to their own thing, the way that they shoot that ending with Danny DeVito talking basically into a camera or the audience at that point is very reminiscent of the ending of Dodgeball, a true Underdog story. With Vince Vaughn telling people about the new Globo gym. Except in the context of Dumbo, it makes pretty much no sense because there's no camera in the setup, and because the movie is set in 1919, there were no talkies at that time, so it would have been a silent film, and that makes no sense anyway, and people at that time didn't talk into camera at that point anyway, so that just doesn't really make sense from a thematic standpoint, and it just comes out of nowhere, so that didn't make much sense to me. But just overall, this movie is just kind of boring, and if you're a fan of the original film, they kind of treat that story as an afterthought, and they get through most of the iconic scenes within the first 25 minutes of the film, and then you have another hour and 20 minutes to go. On the one hand, it's liberating because it wasn't really a long movie to begin with, the original Dumbo, so they had a lot of room to expand the story, but they had all that room and they didn't really do much with it, so overall, I'd say this movie is just rather dull. I don't recommend seeing it in theaters. If you need to see it, please wait for it to come out on Blu-ray or digital. Full disclosure, this is the first of the Disney live-action remakes that I've actually seen all the way through. I have not seen Beauty and the Beast all the way through. I've not seen Jungle Book all the way through. I haven't seen Maleficent all the way through. And I've always had a fairly low expectation with those, just because they're remaking something that is either could use improvement or is either more or less perfect in the case of Beauty and the Beast. So I had no real expectations going into this movie, and I really had nothing to take away from it going into it. I'm excited. I'm interested to see what they do with Aladdin and Lion King, but overall, I'm not impressed by these Disney live-action remakes as far as this. If this is my first foray into it, I am not impressed. So those are my main thoughts on Dumbo. But what did you think of the movie if you saw it? Did you like it? Did you not like it? I gave a couple examples of where you may have seen it before, but what other examples are there? I probably missed a few. Let me know in the comments down below. As always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate whatever audience I can get. Be sure to look for my next review, which will be for Shazam, which is going to be coming out this weekend. I also do my reaction series to every episode of Season 2 of Star Trek Discovery, as well as Season 2 of The Orville. Be sure to look for those episodes as well. And yeah, if you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, but just remember, there is nothing new under the sun. And yes, you have seen it before.